Chapter 1, The Truth No One Tells You. Let's begin, but I won't sugarcoat it. This isn't going to be soft or comfortable. It's not the kind of message that soothes you or offers quick fixes. In fact, it might stir something in you that you've been trying to avoid for years. But it will do something more important. It will tell you the truth. And the truth has the power to set you free if you're willing to face it. From the time we were small, we learned to look outward when things hurt, to point fingers, to assign blame, to say, "It's their fault I feel this way." And for many of us, that blame settled on one figure more than any other, our mothers. Maybe she was too distant, maybe she was too involved. Maybe she was inconsistent, unavailable, or even harmful. Whatever the story, it planted a seed of pain, and from that seed grew an entire inner world of unmet needs, unanswered questions, and emotional confusion. But here's the truth that rarely gets spoken. It's not your mother who is still holding you back. Not anymore. It's the version of her that still lives in your mind, the story your inner child created to make sense of the hurt, the voice you internalized, the shadow you carry. It's not about who she is today or even who she was. It's about the imprint she left behind in you. That imprint continues to shape your identity, your relationships, your worth, long after the original source has gone silent. And this isn't an attack on her. This isn't about blame. It's not about tearing her down or turning your pain into a weapon. This is about reclaiming the power that was quietly given away. It's about recognizing that what holds you back isn't just history. It's the echo of that history, still living in your nervous system, your thoughts, your beliefs. Carl Jung named this dynamic the mother complex, but it's more than a theory. It's a quiet war being fought inside you, a war between who you were taught to be and who you really are, between the safety you longed for and the independence you now crave. It's the kind of war that disguises itself as self-doubt, perfectionism, guilt, or chronic people-pleasing. And the worst part is, most of us never even realize we're fighting it. We just call it life. But naming it changes everything. Naming it is the first step toward waking up. Because once you see the pattern, you no longer have to be ruled by it. Once you see the ghost, it loses its power to haunt you. So, yes, this won't be an easy journey, but if you're still here, if something in you is still listening, it means you're ready. Ready to see the truth. Ready to go inward. Ready to find out who you are underneath the story you inherited. And that, right there, is the beginning of freedom. Chapter 2, The Shadow You Carry. You've tried. Truly, you have. You've read the books, gone to therapy, practiced forgiveness, and told yourself more than once, it's time to move on. And yet, something still lingers. Peace remains just out of reach, like a mirage that fades the moment you get close. Not because you're weak or broken, but because you're still holding on to something you can't quite see. It's not the memories themselves. It's not the past as it happened. It's the emotional blueprint it left inside of you. Those invisible instructions etched into your nervous system before you had the language to resist them. You're not reacting to life as it is now. You're reacting to life through the lens of a ghost, a shadow, an internalized figure who once had real power, but now lives on in the echoes of your fear, your guilt, your longing. This mother archetype, whether she was nurturing, distant, critical, or absent, didn't just leave behind impressions. She carved pathways in your emotional body, shaping your sense of worth, love, and safety. You learned how to relate to the world through her, and now that pattern shows up everywhere. It shows up in the way you crave approval, even when you know you don't need it. In the way you freeze when asked to set a boundary, because deep down you fear abandonment. In the way you second-guess your every move, your every need, your every emotion. All of it is rooted in that small, silent part of you, the child within, who is still waiting, still hoping to finally hear the words that never came. You are enough, just as you are. But here is the brutal truth, the one most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid. She's not coming, not in the way you needed, not in the way your inner child imagined. Whatever she couldn't give back then, whether by choice, by pain, or by her own wounding, isn't going to suddenly appear now. That fantasy, that desperate hope, that ache for retroactive healing, it has to be released. Healing doesn't come by changing her. Healing begins the moment you stop waiting for her to change. That's the grief no one prepares you for. The grief of letting go, not just of a person, but of a dream. The dream that one day you'll be mothered the way you always needed. And yet, that very grief, raw as it is sacred, because it marks the beginning of something powerful, the return of your power to your own hands. Only from there, when the waiting ends, can something new begin. Not the rewrite of the past, but the rewrite of the self. And that, my friend, is the first step toward freedom. Chapter 3. Breaking the Invisible Vow. There's something few people are brave enough to admit, and even fewer truly understand. Deep in your unconscious, hidden beneath layers of memory and emotion, there lives a belief that if you go further than your mother did, if you find more happiness, more freedom, more peace than she ever had, then somehow you've betrayed her. It's not something you consciously chose. It's not something anyone ever said out loud. But it's there, operating quietly, shaping your choices, your self-worth, your limits. That's why, even as you grow and heal, you sometimes find yourself holding back. You dim your light. You self-sabotage. You settle for less, not because you're weak, but because a part of you feels bound by an unspoken promise. A vow you made as a child without realizing it. It sounds like this: I won't outgrow you, Mom. I won't be freer than you. I won't be happy if you never were. And in your own way, you've been loyal to that vow ever since. But here's what you need to hear now. Your sadness does not honor her. Your suffering doesn't redeem her. Your stagnation does nothing to change her story. Clinging to her pain doesn't heal her wounds. It only deepens yours. And if you continue to live as though your joy must come second to her grief, you'll never know what it means to truly live as yourself. If you really want to honor her, honor the woman she was and the soul she still is, you have to let yourself evolve beyond her. Not because you're better, not because you've rejected her, but because you're finally breaking the generational spell. Because love doesn't mean staying small to match someone else's struggle. Love can mean rising, growing, choosing something different, and carrying them with you, in spirit, not in suffering. You may have to say it more than once, out loud or in silence, especially in the moments when guilt creeps in and tries to pull you back. Thank you, Mom, for what you gave me, but now I walk a different path. This isn't rebellion. This is reverence. Reverence for your life, reverence for hers, reverence for the possibility that healing yourself might be the very thing that sets both of you free. This is how you break the invisible vow, with tenderness, with truth, with the courage to be loyal to your future, not just your past. Chapter 4, Becoming the Mother You Needed. No one is coming to save you, and while that may sound harsh at first, it's actually the beginning of your freedom. Because waiting for someone else to show up and finally offer the care, the protection, the unconditional love you needed as a child, that waiting has been the heaviest burden of all. It kept you suspended in time, hoping that someday someone would finally see you the way you've always needed to be seen. But here's the truth. You don't need to find a perfect mother figure. You need to become her, for yourself. This is where the real work begins. It's not about fantasy, it's about responsibility. Ask yourself, when you're tired, do you allow yourself to rest, or do you push through with guilt, as if your worth is tied to productivity? When you're hurting, do you pause and hold space for that pain? Or do you judge yourself, telling yourself to toughen up, to move on, to be stronger? When fear rises in you, do you speak to yourself with gentleness, or do you echo the voices from your past that shamed your sensitivity, your vulnerability, your humanity? That child you once were, that tender, scared, hopeful little one, they're still in there, still waiting, still longing for a calm voice to say, "It's okay, You don't have to be perfect. I've got you now. And the most powerful truth you can claim is this: you are the only one who can give them that. You are the only one who can finally be the safe presence they always needed. This is the moment where self-love becomes something deeper than affirmations or feel-good quotes. This is where it becomes a quiet revolution, a daily act of defiance against everything you were taught that made you feel like you didn't deserve care. True self-love is learning to mother yourself in the way you were never mothered, not just in moments of strength, but especially in moments of weakness. It's learning to say to yourself, you don't have to earn your worth. You already are enough. When you stop abandoning yourself in moments of stress, fear, and sadness, something remarkable happens. The world begins to respond differently. Because you no longer walk through life begging for love, you carry it with you. You no longer depend on someone else to rescue you from your inner world. You become your own steady ground. That kind of energy doesn't chase approval, it radiates peace. This is what becoming your own mother looks like. Not a performance, not perfection, but presence, kindness, patience, boundaries, forgiveness. And yes, a fierce and loyal devotion to your own well-being. You didn't get to choose how your story began, but you do get to choose how you care for yourself from this point forward. And that choice, made over and over again in small, quiet ways, changes everything. Chapter 5. The end of the pattern. So now you know, you're no longer trapped in your mother's story, unless, of course, you choose to be. The chains that once bound you, once hidden in silence, blame, and confusion, are no longer invisible. They're in plain view now. You've pulled them into the light. And while that doesn't erase the pain or the history, it gives you something much more powerful: choice. You are not here to repeat what she lived. You are not here to echo her fears, her sacrifices, or her silence. You are not the next link in a chain of emotional inheritance. You were never born to carry the weight of generations. You are here to change the story, not by fighting the past, but by choosing a new future. You are here to transform what was unconscious into consciousness, to notice the reflexes, the self-judgment, the guilt that isn't even yours, and stop letting them run the show. Healing, real healing, doesn't mean you've tied everything up with a neat bow. It doesn't mean you've stopped hurting, or that the old thoughts won't creep back in. But it does mean something has shifted. It means you've stopped walking through life, blindly repeating what broke you. It means you're paying attention. It means when that same old reaction rises up, the urge to abandon yourself, to seek permission, to shrink, you now pause. You ask, is this mine, or is this a pattern? And that moment of awareness, that single breath of clarity, changes everything. This chapter isn't just about insight, it's about action. It's about choosing differently. When you feel triggered, you stay present instead of dissociating. When someone crosses your boundaries, you speak up instead of swallowing your needs. When you catch yourself seeking validation, you remember, I am already enough. These are not grand gestures, but they are revolutionary ones. And every time you make one, you disrupt the cycle. Every time you treat yourself with kindness instead of cruelty, you say, it ends here. So if you've come this far, if you've listened or read or sat through the discomfort without looking away, then something in you has already changed. Something in you has awakened. And I invite you to name that change. Say it, type it, speak it out loud if you have to. Let the words become part of your new story. I am the end of the pattern, not because the healing is done, but because you've finally begun. Not because the wounds are gone, but because you're no longer ruled by them. This isn't the end. This is the beginning of a new relationship with yourself, a new way of living, one that's built from intention instead of reaction, one that no longer bows to invisible loyalties or inherited pain. This is where you become the author, not the echo, the parent, not the abandoned child. This is where you finally say, I am mine. And I will protect myself the way I always needed someone else to, right here, right now. It begins with you.